What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today we're going to talk about the Social Security increase for 2023, and I'm going to take a different perspective on this. Okay, so I'm going to assume that the way our economy was in 2022 will be pretty similar to what we're going to be looking at in 2023. And so then we're going to look at some of the different categories and how they score right now. And so basically the increase that you're paying this year due to inflation compared to last year. So that's what we're going to focus on today. But first off, I could ask you guys to do me a favor. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. When you click all, that means you'll get notified anytime I put out a video. And by clicking all, you should be getting all the notifications. And if you're not getting all the notifications, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll let YouTube know. Okay, so let's go right over to the graph that I have here. And we're going to take a look at this graph, and then I have another graph with percentages on it as well. So this is coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they put out this every month. Okay, so they're going to give you the CPI score. They're also going to show you different graphs and kind of lays out what we're looking at when it comes to CPI, when it comes to inflation, when it comes to everything. Okay, there's a lot of information on this website, so I highly recommend, if you have the time, go in there and you can find out different information about jobs and about unemployment and of course inflation and a variety of different things. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So this is a 12-year percentage, consumer price index, select categories, September 2022, not seasonally adjusted. Okay, so just looking at this, one of the first things that I want to focus on is this right here. Okay, and we know this is going to get even worse because we're in the winter season. So energy is up, and we also have issues when it comes to diesel fuel, which I've talked about, which could drive prices up when it comes to the grocery stores and just buying products in general for the holidays. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But just looking at energy, the energy costs in September was the highest expense that we saw when it came to percentages. Okay, not necessarily the highest expense. I shouldn't say that. But when it comes to percentages on this chart, energy was the highest. Okay, now I'll show you the percentages on a different chart, and you're going to see that there's some areas that are higher than this almost 20% here. Okay, Food was the second highest. And so this is what's breaking people. Food and energy. These are things that you absolutely have to have. And so that I just wanted to show you kind of that breakdown. All items, that's really, that's everything, right? But it's not really targeted. But when we target these two, we can really look at this and say, okay, yes, there's a serious problem that we're facing right now. So all items, less food and energy. So all items, less food or energy is the smallest percentage increase. Okay, now this is what I really want us to focus on, because this gives us a detailed information about the different categories. Okay, and some of these categories are going to really shock you. Okay, so we talked about food already, and so we have food at 11.2%. Food at home, now this is interesting. So if you're eating at home, you're paying about 13% more. Okay, so that means when you go to the grocery store to buy groceries, you're paying 13% more. Now, the reason why this is important for us to focus on is because we know that COLA for 2022 was 5.9%. Okay, so 5.9% increase, and we're looking at 13%. If we go to the grocery store, on average, we're paying 13% more. And so how can you get ahead in a situation like this? With COLA at 5.9% for 2022, you're paying double that. Okay, so you're still paying more. Your dollar is not as strong as it was last year. Okay, that purchasing power is not as strong. Okay, so just let's look at some of these others, and a lot of them. And I'm basing this on that 5.9%. Okay, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the 8.7% after that. So for 2023. So just looking at the cereal, 6.2%, meat, 9%. What do we have here? Dairy, 15%, fruits and vegetables, 10%. All this stuff is necessities. These are all things that you need because it's food and we all need to eat. We all have to eat, right? Non-alcoholic beverages and beverage materials, 12%. Other food at home, 15%. And so all of this is over 5.9%. And so that's basically what I'm trying to drive home here. So the COLA for 2022 did not help. did not help at all. Okay. And so let's erase this and let's look. And I haven't even gone down this whole list. We'll go further down this list, but let's say that we have that 8.7% for 2023. Let's say our economy is about the same. Okay, let's say inflation is still hovering around 7 or 8%, and we're still looking at the same type situation. Okay, the economy doesn't get too much better. Maybe it gets even worse because of recession and all that. What are we going to be looking at then as far as inflation? What are we going to be looking at then when it comes to the price of goods? Okay, so I'm basing it on the fact that things aren't really going to change too much from 2022 to 2023. And if we look at that, that means the cost of groceries and the cost of everything is probably going to be about the same percentage. And so if we're looking at 8.7%, how much purchasing power do you have when you look at that? Okay, because just like we said, we're looking at food at 11.2%. So when I go to the grocery store, I got that 8.7% increase, but food is at 11.2%. And then we look at other things, food at home, 13%, cereal, 16%. So we can go all down this list and look, and there are very few items, okay? Very few items. Basically, when you look at, and if you look at the top here, it's going to say all items, 8.2%, okay? So, but when you're looking at specifics, because if you're looking at all items, yeah, that sounds good, but there's some things that you might not get, right? You might not need to buy a new vehicle. You might not need a used car or truck. You might not need the medical care commodities and alcoholic beverages. What if you don't drink? Then that 4.1% doesn't apply to you, right? If you don't smoke, 8.2%, that doesn't apply. So there are things on here that don't apply to you. But when you're looking at the things that do apply to you, like food, things that you have to have, those are high. All of them are high. Dairy products, like we talked about, 15.9%. Fruits and vegetables, 10%, 10.4%. Non-alcoholic beverages, of course, you're going to get non-alcoholic beverages. You're going to get water and you're going to get things like that, 12.9%. Other food at home, 15%. And like I said, looking at some of these things, these are all necessities. Energy is another big thing. We all need energy, right? We need gas for our vehicles. We also need to warm our homes. And so 19.8%. What is it? Energy commodities, 19.7%. Fuel, oil, 58.1%. And it's not just fuel for us, but it's fuel for people bringing the products to us. Okay, so we talked about the diesel fuel situation. With a diesel fuel shortage, that means the price of diesel fuel is going up, which is going to drive prices at the grocery store up. Okay, it's going to drive prices when you go to any department store and buy something. It's going to drive those prices up, let alone trains and all these different transportation mechanisms that we use today to get our products to us. The price is going to go up because of diesel fuel, right? Electricity, 15%. And so hopefully you guys get the idea of what I'm trying to show here, okay? Apparel, see, some of this stuff, you don't have to buy any clothes, right? That's not a necessity, but it's at 5.5%. So that brings down this average. So when we're looking at the average on top of 8.2%, we're thinking, okay, well, we're in a situation where we have 8.7% increase for cola, so we should be okay. But then when you really start looking at this, then you start to realize, okay, some of this stuff is just stuff that I don't need on a regular basis. And if I buy clothes, I might buy it once for the whole year. So this is something that we really, really need to pay attention to. And so I just wanted to show you that. Hospital services, this is actually pretty low, 3.8%. So that's good. Physician services, 1.8%. Medical care services, 6.5%. So these are all good because these are necessities as well. You need to go to the doctor and things like that. So it's good that those prices are down. Transportation services, 14.6%. Motor vehicle maintenance and repair, 11.1%, and motor vehicle insurance, 10.3%. Look at this down here. This was shocking to me. Well, I shouldn't say that. This is not shocking because I kind of anticipated this happening, but airline fare 42.9%, by far the highest on this whole chart. Okay, actually, no. Fuel and oil was the highest, 58%, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 58%, that was the highest. But 42% is very close, right? And the situation with the airline industry, what I think is really sad, is that during the pandemic, they got bailed out. They actually got bailed out twice. By who? By the American people, because we pay taxes, and our tax dollars was going to the airline industry so they could basically stay afloat. They could lay their people off, or put them on a furlough and continue to pay them. And they were getting billions of dollars from the federal government. Okay. And now if you try, and you guys know I like to travel, and I've been going to Colombia all this year, and just going back and forth, I see the change when I'm booking my flights. There's a lot less flights out there, a lot less flights, a lot of connections now. And it's not the way it used to be, where I can just maybe do one layover and get to my destination. Now they're asking me to do 3 layovers, or if I want to do just 2 layovers, my layover is like 12 hours. Like this last trip that I had when I came back, I had to fly into Florida. I had to stay in Miami for 12 hours. That was a layover. That was the best flight that I could get. So I had to do that 12-hour layover. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and get a hotel room. And I stayed in a hotel and slept for 8 hours, got back up, got on the plane, and then came home. But situations like that, the airline industry right now, they are just, I mean, the prices are really ridiculous. If you guys don't know, I use points when I fly. So that makes it even harder when it comes to points, because you don't have as many flights. And so when you're trying to book with points, it doesn't always work out. But that flight that I was just talking about, the flight home, I actually paid cash for that. And I had to go through that 12-hour layover. That's ridiculous. I couldn't find anything better. So anyway, just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about this whole situation. This is what we're looking at when it comes to inflation, and this is what we're looking at when it comes to COLA. So don't think 8.7%, that's the highest in 40 years. But don't think that that's going to be enough, because if we're looking at the same percentages when it comes to food and when it comes to energy and when it comes to things that we absolutely need, then it's not going to help much. 8.7% will not help much. And so we're just going to have to follow the story and see where it goes. We have an election coming up on Tuesday. And then we also, just to remind you guys, on Thursday, the CPI score will come out, okay, for October. That will be very important, because we saw 8.7% increase for COLA. What are we looking at now when it comes to the CPI score and the CPIW score? Is it going to be around the same, 8.2%? Is it going up? If it starts to go up, that's where you really have to get nervous, because we could be in the same situation that we saw last year, where you get that 5.9% COLA, and then you start seeing inflation just continue to rise, and it goes up well past 5.9%. So this is something we need to watch. I'll be back. Make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell notification, because I'll be back every day this week letting you guys know what's going on. And we'll talk about the election. We're going to talk about the CPI score, and we're going to talk about what we're going to be looking at in the future. Okay, so if you guys have any other questions or anything like that, post them down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.